Hi everyone, I'm trusting that you are safe and sound. Thank you so much for tuning in to my channel. I'm your virtual teacher, Caro Karuga. In today's interaction, we are looking at figures of speech, also known as figurative language, stylistic devices, or better still, rhetorical devices. These are the colorful words that we use in our day-to-day conversations, or the flowery language employed by writers to make their work outstanding, distinct, and appealing to their readers or audience. When you're looking at figurative language, we are looking at the use of words beyond their surface meaning, beyond their literal or basic meaning. Therefore, we have so many devices, we have so many figures of speech in English, and we want to begin a journey of understanding each and every device for the purpose of appreciating literature, analyzing poetry, and even improving our conversations and our speech. Today, I want to focus on 3 devices. We will look at personification, irony, and hyperbole. Personification refers to giving human qualities to animals or objects. I'm sure we've ever watched cartoons, and they are perfect examples of explaining personification, whereby cars are given qualities of human beings. Cars are empowered to talk, trees are empowered to talk and sing. All those are instances of personification. And a writer might decide to use personification for the purpose of entertaining the reader, or better still, emphasizing a point. We have several examples of personification here, and I want to take us through the various examples provided. The first one would be the flowers begged for water. The flowers begged for water. Therefore, flowers are personified and made to beg for water. The house was lazy and unkept. Lightning danced across the sky. Trees bowed to the ground. The carved pumpkin smiled at me. So they are quite humorous statements, and they make writing appealing to the reader. So these are powerful or interesting examples of personification. The camera loved her. Instances of personification. So we have another example over here. The moon was resting in the midnight sky. So therefore, the emphasis here is empowering inanimate objects and making them behave like human beings. I have an example. I have a poem here, and probably we are able to go through it and identify an instance of personification. In the 4th line, the little dog laughed. We are all aware that dogs are not enabled to laugh, but in a poem, you might empower the dog and cause it to laugh for the purpose of just creating excitement, humor, or better still, giving the poem a comical relief. We want to still analyze another rhetorical device known as irony. We have got 3 types of irony, that is verbal irony, situational irony, and dramatic irony. So what is irony? Let's get a simple definition of this figure of speech. Irony refers to a contrast between what is expected and what actually happens. It's a contrast between expectation and reality. I'm thinking of a situation whereby you've attended a wedding. You expect the bride to be jovial and better still in a euphoric mood. But when you find a bride who is very gloomy while walking down the aisle, then that's an instance of irony. It's ironic. It's the contrast. It's the opposite of expectation. We want to differentiate these three types of irony. And the first one would be verbal irony. This is when character says one thing but mean the opposite. So if you're giving a compliment, on the surface it looks like a compliment, but in the real sense, you're not complimenting that individual. That is verbal irony, also known as sarcasm. You are sarcastic. If you are complimenting that someone is dressed to kill, or they're really looking spectacular, but the truth is that you've not approved that look, then you're being ironic. It's verbal irony. When you say that the room smells really good, but what you really mean is that there is a repulsive smell in that particular room, then that's an instance of verbal irony. You're being sarcastic. You're not sincere in your compliment or in your remarks. You have a hidden agenda. You're not truthful. You're probably malicious. All right. So if someone tastes a meal and they give a look or a compliment that it tastes really delicious, probably it's the opposite. All right. So then we have an instance of situational irony. This refers to when what actually happens is the opposite of what is expected. In a burial, you expect people to be sad, wallowing in grief, but then when you find people dancing and in a happy mood, you realize that this is an instance of situational irony. Something about the situation is completely opposite. There's something off about what's happening in that particular funeral. Situational irony. Then we still have another instance of dramatic irony. This is probably in the entertainment industry, whereby the viewers are aware of something that characters in the particular movie are not aware of. So this is when the reader understands more about the events of a story than a character. You are in the know. Characters are in oblivion. They are in the dark regarding the unfolding incidents. So if you realize that you have an edge, you as the reader, you are understanding something that characters in that particular novel are unaware of, then that's an instance of dramatic irony. You know something that a character doesn't. For example, Tim's parents are proud of the A he got on the test, but we know he cheated. So the parents are so happy, they're so proud of their son, but we know that he cheated. Those are not genuine marks. It's not a genuine grade. So you'll find irony widely used in poetry, in literature, or even in real life situations, whereby you find, for example, situational irony. It's widely used. And we have a simple poem. I hope we can all identify an instance of irony in this poem. So think of a situation where there is water everywhere, but you don't have a single drop to drink. Maybe in a flooded area, there is water everywhere, but you can't get a single drop to drink. That's a case of situational irony. And that this short poem has captured situational irony. So once we are aware of the three definitions, I'm sure we are able to identify irony in a given piece of creative writing. And also we're able to tell when someone is ironic or sincere in their statements. All right. Then we also want to appreciate another beautiful figure of speech known as hyperbole. Okay, this refers to extreme exaggerations for the purpose of emphasizing a point. So in your utterances, you are exaggerating, you are overstating something, you are magnifying it for the purpose of emphasizing. It's like adding a pinch of salt to a dish that already had some salt. You are flavoring your statement. You're making something look bigger than it actually is. So that's an instance of hyperbole, very common in our conversations. All right, and these hyperbole statements are often hilarious. I want to give several examples of hyperbolic statements. His stomach is a bottomless pit. You think about that statement. His stomach is a bottomless pit. What are you emphasizing? That this person is a glutton? That this person is greedy or extremely hungry? Therefore, you realize that it's not true. One's stomach cannot be a bottomless pit. It can't be a bottomless pit. So it's a hyperbole statement. There's a lot of exaggeration. He was skinny enough to jump through a keyhole. It's not even fair to say so of an individual. But then you're emphasizing that they are thin, they are skinny, they are petite, they can jump through a keyhole. Therefore, it will cause some humor, some laughter, but the point will eventually be drawn or driven home. I'm so hungry, I could eat a horse. You are emphasizing the intensity of hunger. So these are statements that are overly exaggerated. And remembering my definition, they make writing very interesting and they break the monotony and the boredom of reading. You just break into a rib-cracking laughter, especially if such statements are coming from our comedians who they have a way with words. There's a way they put these exaggerated statements in a very amusing and interesting way. I love you to the moon and back. Yeah, a common phrase. We hear people telling us that they love us to the moon and back. But come to think of it, is it true? Have they ever been to the moon? It's just an exaggeration. They're emphasizing how much they love you, how much they cherish you, how much they adore you. So these are statements that are overly exaggerated, and it's a device. It's a way of writing. It's a colorful way of writing. We have a poem. I want to give us a minute to just go through this poem and identify instances of hyperbole in this poem. I'm bigger than the entire earth. I'm more powerful than the sea. Though a million have tried, not one could ever stop me. I control each person with my hand and hold up fleets of ships. I can make them bend to my will. With one word from my lips, I'm the greatest power in the world. In this entire nation, no one should ever try to stop a child's imagination. So this is a powerful example or illustration of hyperbole in a poem. When someone says that they are bigger than the entire earth, it's not true. Powerful than the sea, not so true. So these are instances of exaggeration for the purpose of communicating, emphasizing, creating humor, drawing attention to a particular detail about your life. So it's adding a pinch of salt to our conversations. Therefore, thank you so much We've managed to look at 3 figures of speech. In the next lesson, we want to look at 3 more or 4 because we have over 20 rhetorical devices. Thank you so much, people. Remember to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much and have a great time.